Hello! Thank you for visiting Digital WarRoom's profile for ABA Tech Show 2021. Today I will be guiding you through a brief and shortened version of our normal presentation that we would give at a conference like this, and I'll be talking through some of the topics that we would normally discuss at our booth, but we were unable to have a booth this year. To start out, Digital WarRoom is an eDiscovery tool that is do-it-yourself, DIY, which allows users to process, review, and produce electronic documents which could be potentially relevant to litigation. Here, real quick, is a picture of our booth from 2020. And there's one of our co-founders, Bill Gallivan, behind the screen doing a product demonstration. And you can see our tagline on the banner, which is just, speedy, and inexpensive eDiscovery. Here are some of the rules of civil procedure, some of the obligations that are relevant to eDiscovery and eDiscovery practices. The first one, as you can see, revolves around the idea of just, speedy, and inexpensive. And this goes side by side with our tagline, just, speedy, and inexpensive. And we truly believe that litigation should be concluded as quickly as possible with as low of a cost as possible while still meeting all relevant obligations. This is one of the principles that Digital WarRoom was founded on, and we believe that our software allows legal professionals to accomplish the same tasks in a much simpler and less expensive way. The second rule here revolves around scope and proportionality, and this is just a reminder that all investigations should have a scope, and this scope should be determined based on proportionality arguments. At least that should be one of the factors that determine the scope. And the third item here is the Rule 26F, meet and confer, conference of the parties. And in conferring, the parties must consider settlement, make or arrange for ESI disclosures. So essentially, the parties will come together and discuss any issues surrounding eDiscovery, whether that be with identifying relevant data, talking to custodians, preserving the data, and making sure that legal holds are acknowledged, and any items that could have to do with sharing the data between parties and agreeing on a form of production for ESI. And the final rule here is the form of production and specificity, something that I just mentioned as well. And this rule describes that a request for document production needs to have specificity and reasonable particularity with the items that should be inspected, and also requires that the form of production is an important and required deliverable when requesting relevant documents. And then just to mention, the federal rules are listed here, but state and local rules will often mimic or mirror some of these similar ideas and concepts, but there may be some variations at those state and local levels, so be sure to check your own rules to be aware of what your particular obligations are. We created a checklist manifesto at Digital WarRoom, and we also partnered with ACEDS and thought leaders over there, such as the president of ACEDS, Mike Cordero, to create a comprehensive checklist and list of items to consider throughout the entire eDiscovery process. And the idea behind this document was that a checklist, regardless of the profession you were in, can help you make sure that you do not forget anything important. There are so many items to consider throughout the process that we wanted to be comprehensive, but also make a list that was simple enough that could be whittled down to the most important details. So we created this checklist that is separated out into different stages of eDiscovery that we determined were important to list. And all this came together into a diagram. Here is the eDiscovery Checklist Manifesto wheel. As you can see on the outside, there are a set of unique tasks, and on the inside, there are a set of common tasks. You'll notice that this diagram is set up in a wheel shape, and the intention behind the wheel was that you can go to any stage as needed, and this isn't meant to be a linear diagram. You can jump to different stages, you can go back to earlier stages, you can complete the same stage multiple times. For example, if you needed to come back and collect more data that you've identified and you realize that you don't have all the information you need, you could always go back to that step. Even once you're deep into the review process, you could grab more data. And then in the middle, like I mentioned, there are a set of common tasks, and we believe that these three items are important to be considered at every stage of the process. So our checklist makes sure to address budget items, risk analysis, and strategy considerations that could take place at every stage. So if you are interested in downloading this document, this checklist, we have it available on digitalwarroom.com under the resources section, and you could click on eDiscovery Checklist Manifesto, and the same document is also available on aceds.org. Alright, and those stages that were shown in the diagram, the three specific stages that Digital WarRoom specializes in are shown here in these three modules, which are process, review, and produce, three items that I will be discussing today. With the processing item, this is where you will drop your data onto an eDiscovery tool for processing, quote unquote, and the tool will expand PST files and zip files for you. And all of this is done automatically. And other items associated with the processing stage could include deduplication, data culling, and indexing your documents so that keywords can be searchable and that metadata can be filtered. The second module here is review, the review phase, where you are likely to spend most of your time in an eDiscovery project, or where the reviewers will spend most of their time. And some of the important items to consider here could be early case assessment tools, and these are going to be within your eDiscovery software tool, and what options are available to search, sort, and sift the data, and tagging and marking documents, redactions, and privilege logs could be some more considerations. The third module here is productions, something we'll go over in a minute as well, and some items here to consider could include native productions, how you generate TIFF images or whether you want to produce as native, and endorsements / base stamps, and how you are going to export the production in the format that is necessary. Alright, and here is just a screenshot of the Digital WarRoom interface. This is the review interface. We've recently updated the software, so we have a new look and feel. And this interface is separated into three modules. On the left, you have the filter tree, where you can select from a range of metadata filtering options. So right here, we're filtering on what collections are being shown in the document list. You can also type in keywords here in the bottom left and then run your search, and you can stack any of these filters on top of each other. And then the middle pane is the document list. This is showing all the documents that are available, and then if I were live in the tool, I could scroll to the right and see all the metadata that would be available from these documents from processing. And then on the right, this document that is highlighted is the one that is being showed in the document browser. So this is the document that is being currently reviewed, and you can very easily down arrow to scroll through multiple documents. During a document review project, there are a lot of options to consider for an eDiscovery software tool. There are a lot of features that may be important to you, or perhaps you may only need several features to complete the bulk of your project. So here are some features that are considered pretty industry standard, and depending on your own workflow, some of them may be more important to you. So I'll just walk through them very quickly. You could review native documents or review images. Digital WarRoom can do both. How is the tool capturing, and how can you customize your work product? So when you're applying a mark to a document, are those customizable, and what tools are there to apply that mark? What are the deduplication options, and how are your marks inherited across duplicate documents? So you could set different policies for deduplication. What are the privilege-related tools, such as creating a privilege log? Could you create a privilege log on the fly while you're doing the document review? Is there a tool for redactions and providing comments on a specific document? Are all these decisions auditable in a mark history log? And could you roll those decisions back if needed? Are there options for creating binders and batching documents? How much metadata is available to be filtered, and what does the filtering interface look like? And you could filter in Digital WarRoom on things like custodian, date, file type, or keywords, and stack all of those on top of each other. And what are the options for thread IDs? Can you sort and group email threads together? And what are the options for reviewing email threads? And what kind of tools are available for search terms? Could you do a fuzzy search or stemming? And then advanced analytics and visualizing data at scale. Digital WarRoom in particular has some specific reports called the email who to whom grid, in which a user could see a heat map of all of the email correspondence between specific custodians. So see kind of which custodians have the most common email correspondence, and we also have an email thread visualizer. Could you sort on family IDs or path or custodian? And how easy is it to sort and sift through this data? All right, so these are just some of the options that could be in your toolbox as a document reviewer. The next item is just simply the production export wizard. A lot of the features in Digital WarRoom are considered standard, and you can do them yourself, so you would not have to ask a consultant to run any of the production wizards for you. This is all available for standard use within the tool. So as you can see on the left, there are specific load file columns that you can choose which ones you want to export. You could also decide to name each column something or anything you needed for the specific load file. There are wizard-based options for creating your load file based on these checkboxes here, and you create decide how to name your native files, for example. Alright, so all of this can be done very easily within the tool, and all you have to do next is click Export Production. So just moving on. Alright, that wraps up our discussion of processing, reviewing, and producing documents in Digital WarRoom. If you are interested in learning more, you can email us at info@digitalwarroom.com, or you could schedule a demo by going to our website, digitalwarroom.com, and as you can see, there is a schedule demo button in the header of the website, available on any page of our website. So our consultants and experts are available in 30-minute or 1-hour sessions, and we really look forward to speaking to you and seeing how we can help improve your eDiscovery processes.